One. Hi there, everybody. This is John Drew here from Elevated Planet.
And Jolé Gabrielle here from Elevated Planet. And as always, we'd like to welcome you to today's show, where we're so grateful that you joined us and we have a lot in store for you. And John is going to tell us more about it.
Yep. Welcome to the community who have joined us already, and we'll be seeing a few more names joining us as well, I think, over the next few minutes. But really grateful to have our community with us here on this journey. So it's exciting, it's fantastic, and thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for taking time out of your Sunday. So, yeah, dying to be me. This is what the title of this one is today. And the truth will set us free. So this is what we're getting into. And it's really interesting because we've never featured Darius J. Wright on the show before. I have seen his work before and I was super impressed. And I came across an interview he had with Dorothy Shelton, and I like Dorothy's work. She's really good. Great podcaster. And the messages that were coming through are really powerful. And this is what it's about because Darius actually crossed over when he was aged just 16 years old. So he actually went over to the other side. He witnessed it. He understood it. He chose to come back. And since then, he has been a teacher. And he's a very good teacher. And Jolé and I have really enjoyed pulling today's show together because the messages are very deep and very profound and very liberating. And I think that's the key. It's kind of once we get our heads around these things, it kind of lightens the load. You realize that, all the programming and conditioning that we've had through the false matrix, we don't need to, we don't need to permission that, because that's what we're doing. We're putting our limitations in our way. This is really where Darius really helps to give us guidance today and point us in the right direction. Then we're also tapping into the wisdom of Elizabeth April as well, which really dovetails perfectly with the message that Darius comes out with towards the end of this particular video. So anyway, that's kind of where we're heading right now, which is ultimately to a world of unspeakable beauty. And also, again, just to plant out there that one of the things we are going to be doing very much over the next few weeks, this is going to unfold. And we've already got a number of volunteers who've said they'd like to be part of this. And this is all about create your new reality with Elevated Planet. We've had all these shows recently which have talked about humanity as a simulation and how we have the power to shape our reality, unlike how we have been programmed over the years. So there are elements there that need to be pulled together, and to do it, with support from the community is where we're heading to. So if anybody really would like to be part of that, then you can get hold of us at elevatedplanet.life, our website. So elevatedplanet.life/contact gets you to our contact page, and you can send us a message. And I appreciate those that have sent over the last week as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So, Jolé, I think we are going to be marching towards this first section. So, what would
Yes, we are.
what would you like to add?
I'd just like to add, just hang on, and listen to what has to be said, because Darius is tapping into fear and how to kind of overcome it. And it's very interesting because I know during this time, there's a lot of fearful things rolling around. So this is really helpful in opening up the heart and allowing for the soul to expand.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's so important right now, and we are seeing a lot of chaos energy out there, which is part of the way it's supposed to be. Everything is in divine order. It just doesn't feel that way.
Yes. So
So,
let's move on.
yes, let's do it. Okay, well, we're going to hit the button. We're going to go to the first section with Darius, and just bear with me a second, and we will be there with him.
My name is Darius J. Wright, and for the purpose of people trying to understand that which I do is I have controlled out-of-body states. And essentially what this is where you are able to shut down your body to a certain state where your soul leaves. And when your soul leaves, it's the same thing as a near-death experience. And so I've been doing that for many years now. decades pretty much of controlled states. And when I realized that the other side, the eternal aspect of us, is our home, is there, it's not here, even though a lot of people would like to say this place is our home. It's not. None of us are from here. And when understanding that, through accessing that and seeing that again, then this has turned into my life's mission and purpose, to wake people up to that. Because once they wake up to who they are on all aspects of their true home, their true state, they wake up to everything. Because as soon as they remember that state again, then it's impossible not to realize and know again that you're not from here. This is what you experience now is not your true home. And that's what people are longing for. They're longing for home. They're seeking home, and they seek it here, but they're never going to really find it here because it doesn't exist here. Your home is where you were before you were born. And that's what you return to. And that's pretty much my mission, is telling people that the other side is your home. And it's the pure state of love. So the moment you leave your body and you look at your physical body on the bed, you instantly realize that the body is not you, that your soul, what you're in, is you. And what people fear when they do this, or they fear the afterlife of what happens, my personality ceases to exist, or do I have physicality? But your soul is as physical and more physical than the physical body that we have right now. The reality is more real than what we experience now. So when you're in your soul, you're not only delighting in the pleasures of physicality, but it's all the pleasures of physicality with no limitations. And this is where the complete freedom comes into play, because you're completely free again, like a child. Newborn child's free to express and be who they want. And once you leave, you're free to do that as well. The interaction with touch is much different than touch the way we feel it here, because you're feeling every aspect of that individual soul. If you're communicating with another soul, you could feel their emotion. There's no walls, everybody's naked. And so the moment you leave, you outside of this body is what everybody's seeking. That's all the pleasures, all the love, all the freedom. Everything that people suffer here in this reality. The moment you leave, that stops. Once you access your true home again, your personality stays exactly the same. You're the same person. But instead, what happens is that you remember yourself, why I came here, who you were before you were born here. Those memories start to come back to you. Imagine for a moment that you as a soul is an all-powerful being. Every single soul is God. You have the ability to manifest and create based off your will. And when you're on the other side, in the great infinite beyond, as a soul, you're like, okay, I want to experience this creation. So you as a soul, due to your will, you could create those things, manifest those places for your soul to delight in it and its pleasures. But this creation here, based off what I've been told through many, many times and seen, was the first of its kind to experience what it's like not to be the all. What it's like to have a temporary experience of what it's like not to be in total love. Because when you look at it that way, regardless of how you want to view it, when you look at it that way, you could say, in order to truly understand yourself, who we are, love, you would have to know what the opposite of that is. You would have to know what it's like not to be in love, to truly understand love at its purest state, its fullness. You would have to experience something like that. So this was the place designed for that, based off what I was shown. And so the purpose of here, even though there is all suffering, And I'm not a blind or ignorant to that. But the moment that you can, to the best of your ability, stay in love, the pure state of love here, through all the chaos, then you pierce through a lot of the things, all of the distortions. Because a lot of people have a lot of suffering because they're disconnected from their true state, their heart. And so they have a lot of suffering because they think that this is all there is. My life, the material things, this is all there is. Oh my God, if I lose that, something terrible is going to happen. But when you make that full connection to the other side in love at its purest state, then it doesn't matter what happens to the physical things that you have, even your physical body, because you're not even your physical body. But these physical bodies, the prisons for the soul, gives you the temporary illusion of loss of something. And this is why I said, if you identify with this, and this reality is this, your physical body, then you will forever experience pain and suffering. If you are attached to this, you will forever experience the suffering of, because you will lose this. But you will never lose the soul. It's impossible. You'll never lose the connection back to your home. Impossible. Once you realize that, all self-emotional suffering disappears.
Over the last few years, I have explained that the day you die will be the most fun, liberating day of your life, because you return to that high-frequency state of your real home, filled with love of a type that it would be seemingly impossible to replicate while we remain here on the mortal physical plane. So death is definitely not to be feared, and as ever, that comes with an elevated planet money-back guarantee in case I've got that wrong. And, interestingly, over the last 3 years, no one has ever claimed under that guarantee, so that pretty much speaks for itself. Promoting fear of death is the work of those that continue to seek to control humanity. Once you realize there truly is nothing to fear, you are liberated and no longer vulnerable to manipulative agendas. We came here for this incarnation for soul growth. That growth opportunity exists because of the contrast. Instead of being surrounded by love and light, we wanted to experience what non-love felt like, to experience what it is like to feel separated from the all that is, to be cut off from heart-based unity consciousness and be programmed and conditioned to serve the false matrix, this holographic simulation that feels like real life while we're actually here. To experience limitation where none truly exists, to become unconscious creators of our own reality. Makes you wonder why we ever truly signed up for this in the first place, doesn't it? But yes, it's all to experience the contrast. To know how good it is, you have to experience its opposite. So there you have it. But now as we peel off those filters, it is easier to be connected to our hearts and back towards love in its purest state. Jolé, what would you care to add?
You know, it's beautiful how he speaks about love being the pure state of who we truly are and our being, and how all of this is an illusion. And once you really embody that, you can then go quantum because the fear dissolves. Now, I suffer from fear. I mean, tremendous amounts of fear, and it's unfortunate, but it is what has led me to do this work, is trying to really let go of the fear. And some of the ways in which I've been able to do that and bridge the gap between the fear and the love is through meditation and visualization. It's like that seems like one of the main cornerstones of being able to create your own reality, is to really get into the thoughts. And he spoke about how the heart, the heart is what we symbolize as that pure love. And to really open up the heart and to begin to feel love in every situation. I was watching this social media post from this young man, I mean, beyond his years, obviously. And he spoke about how whenever he has a challenging situation or he has something that he doesn't like, he despises, he just says to himself, I love it. I love it. And he says, once you do that, the brain changes and it starts to look for solutions to the problem. It starts to build a way for you to, as he says, pierce through the distortion or the illusion of a problem. And as we move into this new age, things are speeding up. So what does that mean? That means really pay attention to your thoughts and move the fear out by replacing it with the opposite, as he says, of that belief or that picture. And that way, it really helps us to bridge the gap from our fear and into that pure love.
Brilliant. That's it. I think what's very clear is that he's had the opportunity to effectively have the veil fully lifted, right? We come into this incarnation and the veil drops so we don't realize who we are in this grand play of life. And through his near-death experience, initially at 16, but subsequent to that as well, he's had the opportunity to understand this at a deep level, and the fact that he came back to share it with humanity is such a great life purpose for all of us.
Yes, it is. And to be that miracle where he can go into different states of consciousness or being, that's truly incredible. What amazing. It just speaks to how powerful we are and how we can get to that limitlessness, in this physical body.
For sure. Yeah, and these things are available to all of us, but some are gifted in a certain way that means that they're able to experience it now and let the rest of us know what to expect in the future years. So thank you, Jolé. Right, we are going to crack on with the next section. Here we go.
We are so conditioned here in this life to give our power away, be subservient, obey rules. And we take these things once we leave temporarily, not realizing that nothing has dominion over us. The only thing that has dominion over the soul is fear itself. That's the only thing. When people say, don't go to the light, don't go to the light, you're going to get trapped, all these things are based on fear. And you could, to be honest with you, you could go towards the darkest places in all creation, no matter what it is. Think about the most fearful thing. When you understand that your soul cannot be touched or imprisoned unless you believe it to be so, then not one thing will ever touch you. Not one thing. Impossible to touch you. And so a lot of people have a lot of fear. They have a lot of fear because even in the crossing over, they're still fearing death because they still don't understand that their soul never dies. They're still in the mindset of, well, I was born and the body died, so therefore is there beginning and end to me? There's no beginning and end to you. The reason why fear, it could be a positive, is because it teaches someone eventually, no matter how long it takes, unnecessary suffering. But what it will always lead to is freedom. The soul, at some point, it will lead to, well, this doesn't feel right. Because fear is not your inherent, it's not what you feel. Your soul feels, even on the other side. So it will lead them to the truth, eventually, of non-fearing. And the reason as well why a lot of people are fearing is because they're fearing death. So you watch the news. What's the overriding thing around there? Fear of death. And it could be banks are collapsing. Banks going to collapse. The financial system, this is going to fall, and things all going to survival and death. Death is the core fear. And if it's not fear, it's attachment of. Attachment of loss, which you could say even attachment and loss is the same energy as death. So at the core, even loss and attachment is the same energy. People are all fearing death. And once they realize that it is not true, death is not true, that you as a soul lives on forever, and your true home is there, not here, then all fear just goes away.
We've been conditioned and programmed from birth into the false matrix, and even our educational system is designed to embed us even deeper into this matrix. But regardless of what we've been told, as Darius says, nothing has dominion over us unless we allow it to be so. And now we understand this, we can step back into our power and question everything. This is an era whereby we are no longer going to be the sheep simply following the narrative. We are constantly being spoon-fed. This is why, if they were to try another COVID-style pandemic, they would have a much tougher job to convince the masses of the measures that are supposedly there to protect us. And after all, we can't die anyway, so we might as well live fearlessly and enjoy the journey. And another thing that Darius said that caught my attention is about the attachment to stuff that has been so ingrained into us. Freedom means that you have to remove attachment to all the material things we have been encouraged to value. And not just material things, the same is true with relationships. It's been said that if you love someone, you should set them free. In reality, the healthiest relationships are those where there is no sense of ownership in the first place. And of course, just because you maintain that sense of personal sovereignty within a relationship, the chances of either side of that relationship feeling the need to escape is dissolved entirely, as there is no sense of being trapped in the first place. You are simply honoring each other as the unique expression of divine consciousness that you are. And that financial system we're encouraged to worship, well, I'm pretty confident in the years ahead that it's going to collapse around our ears. But once again, no fear is necessary. The old systems that are designed on greed rather than the greater good are set to fail. And that is something to be welcomed regardless of the near-term disruption. And Jolé, what would you care to add?
Wow, it's interesting how he touched on death as being one of the biggest or the core fear that we have, the annihilation of the self, right? And he spoke about how your personality, it transcends all of this, like your true personality, who you truly are, which was birthed from a place of love. And now that we're getting back to that, we can see how this fear of death is another illusion that we benefit by working through, seeing ourselves as a part of that limitless nature, a part of the 0 point, gives us permission and access to it. And once we begin to have access to that, it reaches a state within us that now we are creating. And so that's a way to really turn death on its head, is to see yourself as life, as love, as completely everlasting. And in that, that is one with, you become one with love. You know, if you see yourself as everlasting, as a part of the whole, and that's truly what love is all about, if you think about it. Loving yourself enough to know that you belong. You're a part of the whole. You are important. Your soul is here to grow, to learn, to experience this life, and to have gratitude for the fact that you are limitless. And so that's such a beautiful thing. And that is where love, creation, quantum energy springs from.
Beautifully summarized there, Jolé. Thank you very much for that. Okay, here we go. We're going back to Darius yet again.
Love, at any point, if you stop being your pure, authentic self, then you actually stop being love. When you stop being your pure, authentic self, you actually no longer love yourself. You are doing the opposite of love. And what you're doing is you're condemning yourself. You're judging yourself. So the purpose for every soul is to be themselves in an unconditional fashion. Unconditionally loving themselves for who they are, expressing that fully, walking into every part of their life to their best of their ability and expressing that. If you are not being your authentic self, you are not loving yourself, and you can never even share that love with anybody else. You're pretending to be something that is not love. And this is where you go into every single soul. Their expression of themselves is what I was shown as well. Their expression of themselves is all so unique, all slightly different, that each one of them holds this slightly different flame, that without that soul, the very creation of all things in the universe will not be in balance or the same. And so people are trying to mimic, to be other things other than themselves. So people need to be themselves fully and completely, and that's the purpose. That's the whole point. the quickest, most direct path to find your true authentic self is I want you to imagine that if you were to go back into all-knowing truth of searching for that, and when you found it, all that reflected back to you is that nothing matters, nothing that you do matters, nothing that you say matters, no actions, good or evil matter. Nothing, just nothing matters, that which you do. What would you do then? In that state, where you realize that nothing matters, what would be your first thought of what you would want to do? And you at that point, you would have found your authentic self. That's how you find it. And if you are unhappy with that, then this is where you heard me say before. If you are unhappy with that state of your actions, of what you would want to do, and if it's not born from a place of love, then that's going into fear, pain, suffering, etc. But that's how you find it. It's the most easiest thing to do. And anytime when someone's trying to search for their authentic self, just go back to that. What if nothing mattered? What would I do? What would I say? How would I act? And do that in love. And you will be operating at the highest state of consciousness and frequency as the very spark of creation.
He has said one of my favorite parts here where he talks about finding your authentic self is sort of like if you didn't care, if nothing really mattered, what would you be doing? And the first thing that came into my mind was I would be in Barcelona, like in the Sagrada Familia. I have not seen that since it's been done. And that is such a beautiful vision to me because it just keeps me knowing that I'm right where I need to be in my purpose, which is beauty, the work of the divine, of nature, and I think architecture captures that, but to speak to what he is saying is that the authentic self is really, I keep saying the word quantum, but it really leads us to unspeakable beauty. And I've been reading up on things lately, and the throat chakra is really giving us problems being able to speak the truth. And you can see that in our society, how the narcissism, the gaslighting of our leaders, and how we're beginning to see through that. But it's really about us calling out the inconsistencies and the judgments in our own lives and resolving and dissolving them, and then getting back to that energy of my purpose. I don't really care what anybody thinks. I don't really care what's going on. I just care what the divine is telling me to flow with. And that is diving deep into finding your authenticity.
Yes. For my part, I love the way that Darius explains the uniqueness of each individual here on the planet, and that it's through being our authentic selves to bring both us individually and the planetary energies into balance. My favorite vision is of a giant cosmic jigsaw puzzle of which we're all a unique piece, required to realize the big picture. This tells us that our differences are a strength, not a weakness, and our differences are to be celebrated, never feared. Authenticity is the key to step into our power, and once again, that requires a fearless act of love that says, I am not here just to conform to expectations, I am here to be me. Joy is the signpost that this is what we're here to do. This is the space of love that lights you up. So step into that true freedom of expression, uninhibited and liberated to be who you were always intended to be. So to do this, we also need to release the fear of being judged and judgment of self and others, which of course is part of the false matrix programming. But self-awareness is the key to break that cycle and build those new neural networks that foster non-judgment. And like Jolé, I love this Darius nothing matters methodology, because when you master that, you are bringing yourself into that state of being where self-judgment does not reside, and instead that freedom of expression and pure authenticity takes over. Okay, so here we go, back to Darius once again.
Imagine me if someone right now, you listening to this, you've died on the other side. And you come in contact with a being and they say these words to you. No matter what you've done, past, present, or future, or what you will ever do, good or evil, I will always love you unconditionally, no matter what you do. And that's what people feel. The true state of love is that no matter what you do, you will always be loved. No matter what you become, you will always be loved. For what is love if that highest state of love would then sit there and condemn you and bring you further down? Not at all. So you could actually be that state of love physically here if you stepped into that place and said to everybody, no matter what you do, past, present, or future, no matter what you become, I will always love you, no matter what. And then you realize something when you start saying that to people, that that person that you're speaking to is a child of somebody. And the parents would say the same thing. And then you realize, well, isn't every single soul here the children of somebody? So even people here that people cannot understand, how could they be loved? How could someone that has done the most evil things here, how could they be loved? And then I ask you this, if you are a mother or a father, will you stop loving your child when they do something bad? When they do something evil? Would you stop loving them? No, you won't. So, how could you say that the spark of all creation and unconditional love should stop loving them as well? Unconditional love of all things, the very source of everything. Why would you expect them not to be loved? If you are a parent, no matter what your kids do, you will always love them. And we are all kids from there. View that in that way. Doesn't matter what people do here, because that same child of someone that's doing something evil here, not even a kid, but someone that's doing something very, very evil here is like a child. Similar to a child throwing a fit, in pain, crying. But the core of their energy, what they're really saying is, help me. Help me, I'm in pain. That's what they're saying. Because doing something evil is the opposite of love. And to do that, you are already in the state of absolute pain, to even have that self-manifest in you to begin with. When a child does self-harm to themselves, they're in pain. Help me, help me. They're searching for love, and they can't find it. So they turn into this evil thing. So what would you be as someone that knows love? Who would you be to sit there and see that and not reach out your hand to help them? Who would you be? You would be no different from the very evil that you are judging.
Well, that unconditional love one is really a lot to unpack when you think about it in this paradigm, because love is conditional. And when you speak to conditional, that means that we're making judgments and decisions based on the way people are behaving and their actions. And if we could get into that parental vibe and realizing that, this, I'm someone's child, and so is the next person, that really puts things into perspective as to how to begin to then behave to bring in more of that light, because that's how I see unconditional love. The more that you can process it and move it through you, the more light, it conducts. Like if you can really get there and drop something and say, see a problem and be like, you know what, I love it. I love working this out. I love trying to figure this out. That sounds absurd, doesn't it? Even for me sitting here saying that. But just to know that it gets the juices flowing in the brain. It puts you in the right frame of mind to allow for that expansion, that internal soul expansion to occur. That's a beautiful thing. And although it is challenging to get there due to our beliefs and mass consciousness of what relationships and partnerships can look like, we can then work to change it by asking ourselves in each interaction, am I loving this person like I would my own child or my own cat or dog or whatever it is you love so much? Am I understanding that this is someone's creation and my job is to cherish it, and at least for the exchange, the time I'm here is to watch over it and protect it. Wow, that would be so transformative in and of itself. And it just starts with us. It just starts with us.
Yes, it does. And this is the point, isn't it? It's so foreign to, as you say, the mass consciousness on this planet at the moment is guided very heavily towards judgment of self and judgment of others. And I suppose as such, this is an incredibly powerful point, and one which is so far beyond our societal programming that many will struggle to grasp this to a point that they could be that pure state of love by releasing all judgment of self and everyone on the planet. To be able to find that kindness, compassion, and understanding takes us completely into unity consciousness, of course. So it is exactly where we're heading, regardless of the challenge that this represents. I think Darius puts a great perspective around this, which of course challenges everything to do with the human justice system. One great example of the dilemma raised here, as I can see it, is put across perfectly in the movie The Shack. If you've never seen it, it comes highly recommended. And for those that have seen it, you will know exactly where I'm coming from. The biggest love and forgiveness challenge put completely into perspective right there. The point that Darius makes about how an act of evil is a cry for help and understanding is also encapsulated beautifully in this next section by Elizabeth April. Her full video is very powerful and is linked in the description below, but the part that we focus upon here talks to this cry for help and understanding, and how an example of that made Elizabeth herself reevaluate how she would have previously dropped into fear and judgment in line with the Matrix conditioning. This changed her forever. To set the scene, Elizabeth was with friends staying at a castle, where she found herself bombarded by spirits who were trapped there. They had not crossed over. Elizabeth has seen spirits since she was a small child, so she wasn't freaked out by this, and she did promise to listen to them and help them out as best she was able. So with that said, over to Elizabeth.
The absolute darkest spirit there, to the point where I didn't think it was a ghost. I thought it was a poltergeist. I thought it was an entity. I thought it was a possession. I thought it was something from a different realm. Okay? The darkest thing in that castle. I decided to talk to it. Turns out it was a him. And he gave me his whole life story. And like I said, I'm not going to talk about it because it is just very sad and disturbing. Turns out, okay, that this poor man who looked like a monster. So to everyone else at that time, he was observed as an absolute monster. And he ended up dying looking like a monster. But no one understood how he got there. And when you listen to his whole story, it turns out that he was probably the biggest victim of all. He was completely misunderstood. And because he was so misunderstood, because no one would listen to him, no one would believe him, he just got more and more separated from light and more separated from love, and just got darker and darker and more disturbed. And I'm telling you that I was able to peel back the darkness, peel back the layers of this individual, of this entity. And I was able to really humanize him. And he had been stuck there in that castle for a very long time. And finally, after a long time, I was able to cross him over into the light because I told him that he was forgiven. And all he needed was someone to listen to him. And I was that person at that time. And I was able to cross over some other spirits that were not as dark. But what I learned from that, what I took from that, is that some of the darkest energies in this world and in other dimensions and realms are actually some of the brightest souls, just completely misunderstood. We've got to realize that within the law of polarity, the intensity of light is only ever matched by the intensity of darkness. And at the end of the day, light and dark are simply two sides of the same coin. And if I had any fear, any apprehension, if I had any anxiety about entities, attachments, and possessions, or ghosts and spirits before that moment, before that night, before transmuting and listening and having compassion for this dark entity and realizing his story and how he got there, all of that went away. All of that fear left me that day because I realized that they are just missing that love themselves. And they are looking to project that darkness on others so that they are simply understood.
And we're back. So I do find this really interesting, and I would recommend, in the link below, the link to Elizabeth's video there. It's a really, really good video, and I know she put it out pre-Halloween, but a lot of what she went through, because it lists 3 specific cases that when she was younger, where she used to kind of help people who were having sort of strange things going on, whether it be poltergeist activity or whatever. And she was available to be called in to understand what was going on and to clear. Really fascinating, really fascinating. And this was the 3rd of them, and it was so dark and so deep that she didn't want to leave the people who watched the video with the vision that she'd actually witnessed firsthand. But the fact is that enabled her to understand this whole, constellation between the light and the dark, right? There's this whole thing that, the emotional spiral that goes on, everything from the lightest, brightest light down to the darkest. Everything has to be in harmony and balance. So as we start to head towards our new Earth, okay, and I think this is the way I think it works, right? So as we head towards the new Earth, things have to get darker on the planet because it's making way for the fact that people are starting to realize that actually we're so much bigger and better than this. We are aspects of divinity, and we can consciously create our reality. And we step back into that power, our light gets brighter. We live from the heart. We're no longer in the dualistic, polarizing brain, simply just thinking things. It has to come from the heart, which also has its own neurons as well, right? So as we get closer to that tipping point where we go from, say, 3D to 5D, 3rd dimension to 5th dimension, however that's going to work, there comes a point where there is a split, So what you now establish is a new paradigm of light and dark, okay? Based off, now, is it a true bifurcation? It seems it will be. I will know when we get there, right? But this bifurcation means that those who are stuck in the density and in the fear and the programming, then basically they're not ready yet to ascend to that next level. Therefore, they have a lower kind of, upper and down level for the light and the dark. So that's now reestablished. Whereas the new 5th dimensional aspect is now has a raised level. So you will always, you're still going to have the emotional spiral. You'll still be able to descend into, anger, fear, whatever. but you won't live your life there the way that we've been encouraged to in this dimension as it is now. It is that time of awakening. We're going into the age of Aquarius. We're going to, this time has been foretold for many thousands of years. This, for those with the eyes to eyes to kind of look at this stuff, you realize this has been hidden in plain sight for the longest time. But part of the joke when we come here and the veil of forgetfulness drops down is we agreed to this. That's it. We agreed to this. And some people have to play the dark roles in order to facilitate the light roles. So it doesn't mean we judge against people. And it's kind of getting that in your mind, because it's very easy to watch something that might be news related and think to yourself, how could they do that? Right. But you have to kind of look at this through a different lens, because, this is what we're learning. So I find this really fascinating. And Jolé, could I bring you back in? What's your take on this?
I was just lighting some incense here. I just love what you said about the up leveling the paradigm of light and dark. Sorry about that, guys. That is very important as well, is to upgrade the the perspective on that. Like, when you're thinking, we're talking about darkness, maybe we're talking about death, right? And some of the things that accompany it, right? Some of the horrific things that happen. But it's all about life. And if we want to entertain that, it exists. When we, as individuals and a collective, stop entertaining and giving energy to the things that we don't want, they start to disappear. And I believe death may be one of them, right? She also spoke about beings, ghosts, entities, apparitions, whatever, and being afraid of those, and how now she's like, she realizes they're just here kind of asking for help to get to the other side, or maybe they're still learning, but just in a different form. And so once you realize that you are actually interconnected with that, there are parallel lives, like right at the tip of your eyelash, then you start to kind of cumulatively in your aura, in your energy, in your cells open up to expand and align with the laws of the universe, because they are limitless. I like to remind myself the universe is not on a budget, and it has no boundaries and limitations. Now, there are certain systems and networks that those boundaries have to be there for that to run properly, right? However, there are so many different viewpoints and ways of looking at things. So let's pivot to see things from a place of joy and abundance, to see things from a place of curiosity. I think I just saw a ghost in the corner, or an apparition. Let's like dive in, not to turn around and become a homeless person talking gibberish on the streets. Like, we don't want to break that, whatever it is. However, let's start to honor our intuition in ways that which is going to expand, because Darius J. Wright spoke of that authenticity. Some of these experiences that you're seeing are authentic, but it's your job to learn how to work out what is real and what is, I mean, I guess nothing is real, but what is happening in your perspective versus what maybe not, or how to pivot. Maybe that's the key to teaching you how to move beyond, is to accept that, I'm kind of seeing these things. Maybe I need to think about that. I'm kind of hearing these things. Maybe I need to, because I've recently had, someone go to the other side, and I literally had a full blown conversation with that person. And they were so joyful, and they were free, and they were so happy, and I'm so glad to be out of my body. I can't tell you. They were giving me advice as to what to do. And it was a wonderful conversation. But if I would have been myself 10 years ago, I would have been like, oh my God, I'm crazy. What's wrong with me? Why am I hearing these voices? Right. So look at the difference and the shift into opening my heart, knowing that there's things exist beyond me. God is great, limitless. This world is not just 3D and what I see. Now it's a whole different ride.
Yes. Wow. Wow. That's powerful. And you know what, Jolé, I'm so grateful to you for being here today, because I know. This was close, right? This
Yeah.
was so it's and I'm delighted that you've been getting the messages as well, because it just reinforces all this is true. This is reality.
Right.
And we've been encouraged to forget it, but this is the truth.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, what do you think? Should we start to head towards that final section now in the meditation?
Yes, I think
Wonderful.
so.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do now, we're going to head to back to Elizabeth. She just does a little summarizing piece, which is fantastic. She just does a little summarizing piece on what she's just spoken about, which will lead Jolé into our guided meditation visualization. So if you bear with me a second, we're going to switch our cameras off, and then we'll see you on the other side. See you shortly.
We all have light and dark within us. We do. And there's no need to be angry or upset or triggered or scared or anxious or guilty or shameful. And there's also no need to be attached to light and love and abundance and butterflies and 5D. Because on either end of the coin, you're missing the point of existence. Existence, incarnation, presence. It's a spectrum. And when we can show up to fully observe and experience that spectrum without any attachment or aversion, we are showing up for the full experience of what we signed up for, which is all of it.
Wow, what a blessing. Put your feet flat on the floor, your palms face up on your thighs. Bring your awareness to your heart and just feel so much gratitude for yourself, for your connection to the divine, and for being here in this time, in this space. Some say your soul is located right there behind the heart, right in the heart. Connect with that part of you, the soul that's here to learn the lessons, to love this life. Give it gratitude. And just love on right now. Give yourself, your physical body, love. Thank you so much for housing my soul and for allowing me these experiences on beautiful Mother Earth. And then ground your energy by visualizing a beautiful grounding cord of a natural earth element of your liking, or whatever you feel like you are resonating with right now. A tunnel of water. Are you putting boundaries around your emotions? Getting clear? Do you want a tunnel of light, of just feeling of joy and connection and belonging? Or are you working and so you want that cave of earth all the way down so that you can get into it and dig deep? Whatever it is, a quartz crystal, a tree trunk, a rope, connect it to the core of Mother Earth and visualize it being 6 inches in diameter all the way down. And those golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles blanket the inside and the outside of our grounding cords. Pull your aura in to be 1.5 feet around you. Just command, my aura is 1.5 feet around me, and my higher self is standing at the power position at a comfortable distance above my crown, and my astral body is snapped into my physical body. My soul architecture is whole. And you're sitting in this beautiful bubble of light, of your own energy that you've created. This is your aura layer. Do you like it? If you want to change it, now's the time. Open your feet. Visualize the bottoms of your feet opening like the lens of a camera, and pull in that 15% earth energy, the stuff that you need from Mother Earth to transform that aura layer, to become one with, as simultaneously that crown opens and that gold cosmic life force energy comes pouring down from the heavens. 80%, 85% of that. 15% earth, 85% cosmic gold. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Feel that energy as it meets at that first chakra and mixes together in this wonderful explosion of energy. It's like a bunch of these loving bubbles just start dancing with each other, these atoms and cells, and then they begin to fill you up like water fills up a cup. Feel that healing energy move through those joints, those ligaments, those veins, those cells, those atoms, filling up every single minutia of your body, your soul, your mind, your heart. As this essence then begins to pick up momentum and begins to sprout out of your feet, hands, and crown chakras, filling up your aura layer. Work it out. Things are going in and things are coming out. What does that look like? As this energy creates this dissolution of you. And now, guess what? You're becoming one with your environment, this essence of Mother Earth and this cosmic gold life force energy, and their synergy together is creating a 0 point of creation. And from this point, as you're breathing with the rhythm of your body, coming from a place of love, sitting in that heart, all barriers between you and divine creation have dissolved. And you're sitting in everything, the entire spectrum. You're light, you're dark, you're neither. You're the sun and the moon, you're neither. You're all that is. And from this space of unconditional love and gratitude, visualize your alignment with your purpose. Visualize becoming one with the laws of polarity, rhythm, abundance, vibration. As you sit in the law of vibration, and you raise yours with a smile, with a good future thought of what your life looks like, even in this present moment, because it's the building blocks, it's the point of power. So as you sit in the gratitude of the present moment and you see your future or your greatest good and your highest alignment with purpose, pave that road with gold. See some of the essence that you're creating. Move forward, creating that road, paving that way as this divine essence of Mother Earth and cosmic gold life force energy, the limitlessness of it just is flowing throughout your body, powering up this vision. solidifying it in real time. As all of the blocks to this clarity of purpose are dissolving, being replaced by that will that it takes. Will that it takes. Powering up that third chakra. All of them, bing, 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 one at a time, just lighting up and swirling and turning and just aligning with the energy of flow as you create from this space of limitlessness. And now, as you hold that vision, I want you to inhale for a count of 5. Hold it. And exhale for a count of 7. Inhale for a count of 5. Hold the vision, hold your breath. Exhale for a count of 7. And inhale again for a count of 5. Hold it, hold the vision, hold your breath. Exhale for a count of 7. Bringing in all of the good of your visualization and allowing, visualizing this vision going into every cell from your toenail all the way up to that last hair on your body, fingernails. All of this now has the vision, has the blueprint, the knowledge, the wisdom, the knowingness of your purpose, your true, authentic self. And we're going to put another golden sun above the one that is already above our higher self and our head. And in this golden sun, we're going to place authenticity. We're going to see the creator come in, or the energy of the universe, whatever your visualization is, filling up that golden sun. Mine is I see the hand of God just come down and pour authenticity into my sun, and it swishes around. And as it swishes, it just becomes more golden, more golden, more golden, more golden. And as it fills up to the top, that unconditional loving golden sun that's underneath it comes down into the crown, expands into the body, mixing in with that earth energy and that cosmic life force energy as that other sun of authenticity comes down into the throat. It extends and expands down into the body, up into the cranium, out into the aura layer, lighting up that aura layer, moving out all those pictures, patterns, programs that no longer serve the higher vision. Draining them, filling them with gold light, storing them in the memory bank, taking the lesson, leaving the charge. As we breathe with the rhythm of our body and allow for our energy to absorb this newness, this new reality of divine alignment with purpose, authenticity, and unconditional self-love and love for others. Leaving all judgments, all attachments and all aversions, for Mother Earth to resolve and dissolve and turn into positive creative life force energy for anyone to use. So drop them down the grounding cord. And some of that golden essence is going to go down the grounding cord, chasing those golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles into the core of Mother Earth, bringing you straight into your point of power, which is a present moment as you are rooted and grounded into Mother Earth with the grounding cord that is clean, clear, and filled with gold light. Your aura layer is just sparkling and filled with magnets of positivity and manifestation as those chakras are firing in alignment with one another. And that higher self is here to guide you. And that astral body is helping you solve those challenges and love those opportunities for soul growth. As you bask in the joy of your limitlessness, I want you to take a deep breath in. And on the exhale, visualize the bottoms of your feet closing like the lens of a camera, and that earth energy receding gently back down into Mother Earth. I want you to take another deep breath in. And as you exhale, close those hand chakras gently and see that synergy settle in your aura layer and in your body. As you take another deep breath in and you exhale, and as your crown closes like the lens of a camera and that beautiful cosmic golden life force energy ascends back into the heavens, you relax your body and you allow for this energy to settle all around you. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes.
That was powerful. Thank you, Jolé. You know,
Absolutely.
I think for me, that was one of the most powerful that you've ever done. I could feel that. And it also made me think actually one of my practices, and I do it a lot when I wake up during the night. I just like I always have this think of like honoring my 50 trillion cells, because this is kind of where you were going with a lot of this as well, and imagining, because like every single cell is alive, right?
Yes.
Every single cell. So it's not just me, it's Team John Drew. So
Exactly. And then out from there, So let's just joy is the best way to go. And everything around us is sort of helping us to put that to the side and focus on what's not working. So if we kind of hack the matrix, right,
hmm
by feeling joy, I love it. Even if it's, I love it, but at least, and then you get up and you shake your booty and you go and do what
yeah,
it is you need to do, right? That's a better way to get into flow than to argue and have a bad attitude and fight. And trust me, I've been there. I know what that's like. And that really cheats you out of so many experiences
yeah,
to have a bad attitude. And that, so although we have those two extremes and we talk about integrating them, it's best if you just come open the heart and come from a place of joy and love.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's an interesting point, isn't it? Because I don't know whether it was last week or no, week before last. I think we were covering off one of the pieces, and the thought was that whatever mood you carry into whatever emotion you carry is always going to be mirrored back to you anyway, right? So when you do that from a position of joy, from a position of love, even despite the challenges, right? Even though,
Yeah.
it's not the sort of thing that you should be kind of like normally saying, yeah, oh, I'm loving this, right? But you do. And that
Yes.
creates the mirror that brings the solutions back to you.
Yes. And then certain things or struggles, as we would look at them, start to dissolve out of your life. Certain issues you may have had, that social anxiety, that sense of failing to belong, feeling like you don't, it starts to dissolve because guess what? You are connecting with that oneness that connects us all.
Yeah. 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 I just love it. I just love it. Thank you, Jolé. Really appreciate it. And thank you also to the community as well, because been some great comments coming through today, and Kit was very grateful for the meditation, as was I. But
Thank you, Kit. Much
uh,
love.
and Angel is kind of over in Houston, is very aware of Darius and his work as well. So it was great to
Oh,
see that.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hi, Angel.
So yeah, because I know
Awesome.
Angel, you kind of had a session with her as well, and just to make that point generally as well, if anybody wants to have a reading with Jolé, she is available. So again, elevatedplanet.live contact page, you'll find her details in there as well. So do feel free to reach out. I know how wonderful she is, because the first time I met her back in 2020, I've never let her. She didn't take out a restraining order, so here we are now.
Yes, it's such an honor to be here working with you, John, and as it will be an honor and a privilege to do this work for other clients. And for people who are like, well, I'm not sure about you, I do offer a free 15-minute consultation so you can see whether or not we are in alignment, and then we can move on from there.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to book my free 15 minutes in after this. So anyway, so just to do the wrap up now, the Darius thing, very popular amongst the community, and we haven't finished with him yet, because we're coming back to Darius again next week.
Yes.
There's so much wisdom to be uncovered. So yeah, apart from that, we've got the newsletter going out tomorrow, and in fact, one of the things I wanted to
Yes.
mention. Our high priestess Anita from over in Italy. She's been on her travels and her adventures. She's been over in New Mexico, spending time with some of the Native Americans over there. Fascinating blog that she's put together. So I'm going to include that, access to that on the newsletter tomorrow as well, because she is an inspiration. She's an adventurer. And I met her over in Sedona when I was at the Greg Braden event, and I'm a big admirer of Anita and her work, and it's nice to see our community out there and really truly exploring our connections to the ancient wisdom that is out there for us all. So, what else do we need to remember, Jolé?
Uh, as always, please like, share, and subscribe, and let people know about us. We would love to have growth. That's what we're here for, to get the word out and elevate the planet.
Yes. Yes, very well said. That's true. So yeah, if there's anybody you think would value this, then please do share it as much as you can. And we're loving the journey. I learn every single week that we go through this. So that's my self-centered part of this particular journey. But we've got so far to go, and whether it's going to be this creating your new reality with Elevator Planet or whatever this develops into, because it is going to be huge. It is going to be huge. It's destined to be huge. And this is kind of like the formulative stages. So it's great to have you on the journey with us to our community at this stage, because, in
Yes,
a few years' time, we'll look back and say, wow, we were there at the outset. And now look.
exactly.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you again, Jolé. Thank you to the community. And I think we're done, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Have a great week.
Yes, you too. And we look forward to seeing you in a week's time. Take care.
Yes. Bye-bye.